Hello, stamping friends. How is everyone doing this Tuesday morning? My name is Lorri Heiling, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And in case you can't tell, I have a little bit of a cold here, so bear with me. Oh my goodness, I'm still recovering from the retreat over a week ago, but I'm getting close to back to normal. Also, I wanted to share with you, I know I mentioned in my newsletter, I'm about ready to roll out a brand new program that I have starting this month. However, I could not get with my webman until after my video today. That's the only time we could come up with to get together to figure out my blog thing. I'm so thankful for him. And so before presenting it to you, I want to make sure it's up and running on my blog. So I'm hoping later today I will have that, and then I will explain how it all works. But to tide you over, I'm going to make a project using the bundle that we're going to be featuring for the October class. Now remember, this is going to be an online class to go. It's not something that I'm doing in person. This is more for my online customers. However, if you are local, you can still take it if you'd like, but I just wanted you to know that it's not something that meets in person. It's something totally different than my previous class to goes that I did every month, and there's a new name for it. So just watch my Facebook pages, my blog, and also in my newsletter. And so hopefully today, later on, I will have this rolling. So let me switch the camera around and we will get started with today's project. Before I get started with the project, I forgot to mention there's a couple things going on right now. Today only, we have free shipping. Can you believe this? Oh, I love when we have free shipping because that takes 11% right off the top of your order. So if you have an order that's $75 or more, be sure to take advantage of this sale that's only today, October 4th. And again, $75 order before tax and before tax. And then it will be free for you. So that's one thing to take advantage of. I always like to stock up on some of the basics like adhesive, white paper, white envelopes, dimensionals, adhesives, things like that for sure. And then just add in anything, especially with the holidays around the corner. Maybe you can put together your Christmas order for your cards. The other thing I want to be sure to mention is that Stampin' Up! Is having an amazing deal for signups. Now remember, just because you sign up to be a demonstrator does not mean that you have to do YouTube videos or classes or any of these online things or in person. It just means that you're a discount shopper, similar to a Costco member, and it means that you get all your products at a discount. Now, the starter kit is only $99. However, instead of getting $125, which is what our normal amount is, you get $155. So they're adding $30 in value onto this. So it's just really a good deal. So I encourage you to give that a try. If you're a member of my team, there's so many perks that I would love to share with you. The best part of all is that you get to be a part of my community, and we have so much fun together. So please drop me a line or text me, email me, call me, and let's chat about this and find out how you can be a member of my team. All right, let's get going on today's project. As I said earlier, we are going to be using the bundle that is going to be featured in my new class that will be revealed in the next day or two. And the stamp set and dies that we're going to use is called Hello Harvest. We still have plenty of time before fall and Thanksgiving is over. So that's why I thought I'm going to do this project before we get into the winter holidays. So let me grab the supplies we need. We're going to start with Very Vanilla, and this is the thick cardstock. Whenever I do card bases, I like to use the thick cardstock, and it's 4 1/4 by 11, and I just scored in half on the long side, and then just fold right on that score line, and be sure to have your bone folder handy to make a nice crisp crease there. Then the next thing we're going to do is take a 5 1/4 by 4 inch piece of Very Vanilla. You can use thick or regular for this one. And I just set it on my die cutting machine, and I use the aspen tree dies and just cut out the little tree silhouette here. And we're going to use this as part of our background. Then the next thing I did was I took the Rustic Harvest Designer Series paper, and let me share with you all the different designs you get on this paper. They're so pretty and they're really nice for fall here. And the colors that go with this color palette are Mary Merlot, Cajun Craze, Crushed Curry, Mossy Meadow, Early Espresso, and Basic Black. This piece is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, I believe. I'm just going to double check because I cut this out a while ago. And I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal Plus. I think I've told you I prefer the Stampin' Seal Plus just because I think it's easier to, it comes out easier than the regular one, I believe. So this is going to be the same size as the card front. So just adhere that right smack on top, and it should fit perfectly. It's a little bit wider. So what I do in this case is I'll just go over to my trimmer and trim this down a little bit. Okay, so let me be right back and I will trim that. All right, that looks much better. No problem when that happens. Sometimes it's off just a hair, but that's an easy fix. All right, now the next thing we're going to do is take our aspen tree dies that we already die cut, and see how it's like about a 1/4 inch smaller. And then we're going to grab our dimensionals, and we are just going to pop this a little bit. And so just 4 in the corners, and then you may want to stick a few in by the trees just to make sure that the middle pops up as well. So I'm going to take my smaller dimensionals, and wherever I can fit them in here, I'll just put a few more. That way it won't sag. We don't like when we sag in the middle, right? Maybe one more here. There we go. All right, then we'll just center this on the front of our card. And hopefully all is going well in your neck of the woods. I know we had that big hurricane down in Florida. I hope everyone is okay from that. Oh my goodness, I knew people down there, and that was right around retreat time. I thought I'd get maybe some extra guests that got to stay longer because they couldn't get home, but they made it home okay, so all is well. So I hope everyone in your neck of the woods is doing well after that storm. It's so weird because it's still so hot here in Arizona. I always forget that other people have weather going on. But we get our share of monsoons, which is bad enough. All right, isn't that a pretty background? And I like how you can kind of see the edge of it as well. All right, we're going to set this aside, and the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to give you just kind of a Reader's Digest version of watercoloring. And when you watercolor, you're going to want to have a palette of colors. I'm going to show you a couple different ways, and then I'll show you my favorite way. First of all, you're going to need some ink, and there's a couple ways that you can grab your ink. One is by using an ink pad, and what you do is you just take an ink pad and you squeeze hard in the middle, and then you have ink that shows up here, and then you just take your water painter, which looks like this, and I think I need to add some water to this. Oh boy, I was not prepared. I will add water and then I'll be right back. But you just squeeze this out and water will come out, and you make your palette here. Hold on while I go fill this with water. The other thing that you're going to want to keep handy is a paper towel. And let me just show you how we're going to do this. I'm not going to do it on the paper, but you just swirl it around, and then you go on your watercolor paper. Now to rinse this out, you don't even have to take it to the sink. You just keep squeezing, and eventually it'll all come out of the brush up here. But that's not how we're going to do it today, but I did want to show you that's one way to grab your ink. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to use the re-inkers here, and I think first of all I better put some white paper down just in case. And let's see, 4 colors we're going to use here. One is crushed curry, soft suede, Cajun craze, and pumpkin pie. All right, so that's going to be our color palette that we're going to use to color our pumpkin. The next thing we're going to do is take our watercolor paper, and this is thicker than our basic white or very vanilla, and it will absorb water. And then we're going to take StazOn ink. StazOn ink is what you must use when you watercolor, because if you don't use it, the ink will just kind of blend in with your colors and you'll get kind of a grayish mess. So hopefully I have this re-inked. If not, I may have to re-ink this. All right, it doesn't really have to be centered because eventually we are going to be cutting it out. All right, so we have that, and then we're going to use the flower stamp that goes on top of it. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing. Take the StazOn, ink the whole thing up, and stamp. And this one is going to be die cut out as well. All right. Now, I always tell everyone, if I can watercolor, anyone can, because I am not really a watercolor artist at all. Sometimes you can tell people who are truly artists that can paint, but I am not one of those. So just bear with me. If I can do this, I know that you can as well. So when I start, the trick to watercoloring, in my point of view, is that you need to let it dry in between. So with 2 pieces of watercolor paper, I can kind of go between while I'm working on this one. Then I'll ink this up, let it dry, then I'll go over to this one and work on it. And while that one's drying, then I'll come back. And the reason I found this out is because when I try to watercolor everything, and if I don't let it dry in between, it seems to all blend into the same color and you don't get the shading as well. So that's why it's really important to have it dry in between. If you're impatient and you can't wait for it to dry, then what I recommend is you get your heat tool and kind of speed it up by using your heat tool. All right, so we're going to start with crushed curry. This is going to be used on both of these papers. So just put a couple dots here. You'd barely use this. These re-inkers will last you for a long time because you don't use a ton of ink. What I do is I make sure water's coming out. I kind of use my hand to test to make sure there is water in the brush. Let me turn my light on. It's kind of dark out today. It's a little bit of a dreary day. Let's get a little more light here. All right, so I'm going to put, and then you just kind of make your palette here, and I want the first layer to be super light. So I always grab the ink here, then I brush some off here, and then I go on the watercolor paper like this, and all I'm going to do is the middle section here for the lightest color. And I'm just going to stop there and let it dry. Now for the sunflowers, I want it a little bit darker, so I'm going to put my my brush in where the darker color is, and I'm not going to lighten that too much because I do want them pretty dark. Now you just kind of follow the lines. Now remember, watercolor doesn't really mean you have to stay in the lines, but kind of just let that be your guide. Right, I have them die cut here, and we are almost done wrapping up this card. Let's pull our card base out here again, and we are going to put dimensionals on the back of our pumpkin. I want this to pop up a little bit as well. What I love about this, I know you can't see it here, but because I've watercolored and there's water on here, it almost bows a little bit, so it looks like the middle is popped up just a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see that, but from the front, it's just really cool how the watercolor paper takes to water, and it doesn't warble, but it's kind of popped up in the middle. It's just really cool. All right, let's just put this down in that corner. Colors blend well because I use crushed curry in here. And now we're going to add dimensionals to our little flower top. You know what? We wouldn't have even had to have colored the stem of that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of foam strip on the top because this is going to pop up a little bit higher, but I'm going to put dimensionals here. I'll show you in a second. It's easier to explain when I'm putting it down. The reason for my madness here of why I use two different heights of dimensionals. So the bottom ones are just going to layer it like that, but you can see that because the pumpkin is popped already, this part at the top needs to pop more. So this will keep that in line, and this will pop that up more. It makes sense to me, but if you turn it over to the side, you can see that it's all in a line now. All right, then I do want to use the cute little banner. I just love the shape of this because we have these really neat dies called stylish shape dies, and you have banners, you have squares and ovals and circles. It's my most used die set for this catalog. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to put, this one is going to be in line with the pumpkin, and then I'm going to grab my foam adhesive strips because I want this side popped a little bit more, about double the size, and that will make it lie flat again. And then just put that kind of on the corner there. We don't want to cover too much of the pumpkin, but we do want a sentiment on there. Now the only missing thing is a cute little bow, and I think black and orange go well together. So I'm going to use our black and white gingham ribbon and grab a glue dot. And then there are many places this could go. You help me decide. I'm eyeing either this side here or up here. Which do you prefer? Is it too busy up here? Let's go over here like that. I really think it should be up here though. Oh gosh, we could go over here too. Let's go over here. I think it needs to be closer to the orange. Okay, there we go. That'll balance off this too as well. All right, there you have it. Now remember, this is going to give you a little tutorial on how to watercolor, because like I said, in this class to go, I keep calling it class to go. It's not called class to go. It's a new name that I will announce as soon as I get my blog up and running with it, but it will be one of the techniques that we use with the stamp set in my October class. So stay tuned. I hope you enjoyed this project, and thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget, free shipping today, and also please give me a shout out if you're interested in joining my team, and I can tell you all the details on that. One more thing, if you see any products and you would like to place an order, please use my host code here. I would love that, and I change this up every month. So this is the October host code. So if you can throw that in there, and I send thank you notes for those who order from me and support my business. So I would really appreciate that as well. Thank you again, and have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.